This is before some of the changes on the live client. Let's touch on what's available. Sivir still up as Ezreal and Jax taken away from Giants. Vlad and Kalista taken away from Niels and xPeke from Origen.
Okay, a little bit surprised about the Vlad ban. Even though it has been a strong pick for xPeke, I feel like you can draft some of these poke compositions that really make it difficult for Vladimir to have a big impact, but obviously that is one of the comfort picks and one of the picks Origen have used a lot. Varus is still open. We've seen that a few times for them. Sivir, of course, with Kalista being banned away. To me, it is a little bit of a no-brainer. You go for that Sivir first pick when Kalista is gone, because she also works really well in both poke compositions, but also against them. Either disengage or you engage.
So, Deficio, we're not too surprised thus far, maybe with the exception of that Vladimir. The likes of Rek'Sai, Echo, Gragas still up. Priorities for Giants is Gragas and Janna for disengage.
Yeah. Quiz time here, Trevor. With these two picks, what are Giants looking to build? You have disengage and disengage.
No. I really don't know. With Jace and Varus available,
oh, I wonder.
Is it a matter of poke, Deficio?
I think it is.
What gave it away?
The problem is Sivir has been locked in on the other side, so Origen already has a great answer coming in. Okay, Rek'Sai obviously not really the hard engaged jungler, but boosted by the Sivir is often able to move. Oh, again, we're gonna have to see what Origen gets with the last two picks. I mean, you can really easily disengage if you are Janna Gragas against the Rek'Sai and Origen as well. Potentially taking that Ryze away from Werlyb, saying we expect you to run Jace Varus in the mid lane now that Ezreal has been banned. So we want to take one of these AP top laners away from you so you can run a good mix of damage.
Well, let's just touch on that Ryze for a moment, because Soaz has not played at top lane, xPeke has not played at mid lane. So it'll be the first time we're seeing it in Origen's hands. We've seen xPeke playing both Varus and Jace in the past, and both of them very good performances. So we'll see if he wants to run that, or if they're going to go something a little harder engage. For Giants, 5 seconds left on the clock. Another disengage if they go with the Buster Shot Tristana.
And also fast pushing on these towers here coming in for Giants. So we have the AP top laner we mentioned just before. That is the very standard way if you want to get a Jace or Varus pick. Origen can do exactly the same, so we might just get poke versus poke in this mid lane here. And then it's going to be about, can Origen, with this Sivir ulti and the potential flank of a Ryze, start the fights if they want to run and try and get to the back line. I like Twisted Fate as well against poke compositions, because you have wave clear, you have pick potential, you have split pushing, you have a lot of great things to offer that makes it tough for a poke composition unless they get really far ahead and they can just kind of ignore your split push and just start pushing up the mid lane. So I'm not expecting Diana to come in for Origen, but Twisted Fate or maybe Jace/Varus.
So we'll find out what they lock in the next couple of seconds, but this is the first time we're seeing the Tristana in Adryh's hands. It is the 9th AD carry that he has played in 13 different games. Giants as a team have actually played a whole heap of champions throughout the course of the split, and as far as the Rumble goes for Werlyb, his previous showing was not particularly impressive. Not going to be the TF, it's going to be Diana.
RuneGlaive Diana. We saw it in the NALCS. Ninja ran it, I think Shifter ran it as well in the mid lane. Simply you go RuneGlaive first, and then you start building your core item after something like the Hourglass second, Abyssal Scepter we still see quite often. I will admit, I'm not 100% sold on RuneGlaive Diana. RuneGlaive itself as a first item, seeing as it doesn't offer any defensive stats, can make it fairly difficult for you to play the big 5-on-5 team fights, seeing as you will be fairly squishy jumping in. But at the same time, it does give you extra wave clear and some good early burst. So we have to see what xPeke can do, but it fits into what Origen is building in terms of we need to be able to engage. We expect you to run a poke composition because you have Janna Gragas as the first two picks. You have an AP top lane as well to fit in this Varus pick potentially, or the Jace. And that's why they are running so much hard engage on the side of Origen. Giants might change it up though.
And they did with a Yasuo. So we should expect X go middle. There's multiple knockbacks, knockaways, but it's non-traditional, dare I say. And Peppy, shall we use the term that the analyst used, maybe greedy? This can either work or it can go horribly wrong.
Yeah, PePiiNeRO is the star player on Giants. And that is often great, but also sometimes a bit of a problem for them. If he is playing a little bit too greedy, ends up sacrificing himself. But basically what Giants did in this pick and ban phase, they took the first two picks in Janna Gragas and said, we are building towards a poke composition. However, we need to be ready to change it in case Origen is drafting heavy engage. So Nautilus, Diana, the Sivir, obviously, Giants saying we don't want to run a low mobility mid laner to line poke. We don't want to have to rely on that. Instead, we want all in as well in this Yasuo. So we're going to have this composition now where it's going to be Gragas is the only real front line for Giants, but he has to also land that knock up here or the displacement here to get the Yasuo in with the Rumble ulti. And Tristana just sitting there kind of the cleanup in the back from Adryh.
It's quite an interesting team composition because all of the components...
Changing it all the time.
All of the components kind of disrupt one another. Rumble wants everyone together. Gragas and Janna split them all up. We'll take a look at the team compositions in just a second. You guys at home, jump on Twitter and let us know which Spanish mid laner do you think is going to pick up the victory. Hashtag OG win or hashtag GIA win. We're jumping onto the Rift here with the solid number 2 taking on the solid number 4. Unexpected number 4, I might add.
We've said that for 6 weeks now.
We have, but I think it's still relevant.
It is somewhat. Yamato Cannon was talking about it on the analyst desk, how whenever he's talking to other teams and players, nobody really gives Giants the credit they seem to deserve. Everyone's like, yeah, you know, we can figure them out, they seem predictable, and yet Giants are still sitting here, 6 wins so far. 4th place.
I never knew Pepe could play an instrument on stage.
Pepe can do whatever he wants. Keep in mind, this is PePiiNeRO, by the way.
PePiiNeRO. So after we've been serenaded, there's a reminder of how the week 1 matchup went. Not pretty for Giants.
Yeah.
But the team has come a long way, and in recent weeks, Origen has shown a few more weaknesses. We'll see whether or not Giants' very difficult to execute team composition will work out. That's how I'm going to brandish this.
Very safe to say. I mean, not a safe comp, but what you were saying was the safe name for the composition. Origen have been trying out some new things lately, especially in the pick and ban phase. There's Diana mid now with the Rune Glaive from xPeke as well. Something PePiiNeRO used to run, obviously without the smite, but he's been one of the few mid laners in Europe to play it. And I want to see how the matchup is going to go. Obviously Flask and Potions for Peke here, so we'll have a lot of extra sustain compared to PePiiNeRO.
Yeah, we'll find out how well Pepe can carry. Also got that teleport, as you've touched on briefly. Last time we saw the flash TP mid laner was on that Orianna. It left something to be desired.
Yeah.
There was one play where he could TP in and get the shockwave.
And he TP'd into the backline as an Orianna. I mean, you don't do that. That's not how you play Orianna. And I will admit, I'm not a fan of it on the Yasuo either. I feel like you sacrifice too much one-on-one potential by not running the exhaust for himself.
On the same token, he is against a smite mid laner, so at least until Peke gets his hands on that Rune Glaive, they're somewhat equal, if I can use that. And we see Pepe trading very effectively here at level 2.
Yeah, Yasuo has always been one of the strongest mid laners in terms of their early start in the lane, in terms of before you go back the first time. Back in when you had that old Yasuo Z matchup very often, that's also where he would like beat the Z in the start, but then after the first backer, he would start to have a bit of a harder time. It's going to be interesting again to follow it. Still the teleport, yeah, okay, you have some split pushing in that sense with the global in the late game, but exhaust is just so strong for his one-on-one potential if PePiiNeRO wants to be a split pusher.
Yeah, well, do you see, of course, Niels, he highlighted with his Sivir stats. Pepe's got flash to hold on to. Should be able to get away from Amazing. He's going to get knocked up briefly. Does have the support of Frederick coming in a moment. Pepe's going to dash forward. He's going to throw out that Steel Tempest Hurricane, but will not follow it up. And already, a little bit of pressure from Pepe. Again, just trading super aggressively. Using that passive from Yasuo to block as much damage as possible.
This is obviously one of the things for Peke. The fact he's running with Flask, he has no cloth down yet. He could go back and get an early one just to try and trade more effective, which he did right there. So yeah, obviously when you start Flask, you got great sustain, but you are going to be fairly squishy. You don't really have any combat stats to use. Now as well, with him, he wants to go for Rune Glaive, but he also wants to get at least towards an arm guard, so he has some defensive stats versus PePiiNeRO. So it's going to take a bit of time for Peke to start scaling up where obviously the Yasuo is always just trying to rush straight for that static shift.
Yeah, whenever you see those smite mid laners, you know they're going to take a while to catch up. Adryh gets caught out by the dredge line, rooted in place. We do see that explosive satchel pop onto Niels' head. They continue to trade back and forth. Adryh's backed away. GODFRED's taken a lot of damage. Good trade by Origen's bottom lane.
Yeah, Giants disrespecting the early damage and Nautilus can do. Even as a support, he has pretty good base damage when he pops that shield, and Mithy just stood there. Nobody touched him. Nobody tried to break the shield. Did a lot of damage to the bottom lane of Giants. A good early trade for them. It's going to be very important whenever you have these like Sivir lanes with a strong support who can tower dive. Look for them to keep pushing in the waves, hit like level 6, and then suddenly the jungler can move down, and you can get some easy plays. Amazing is already moving in here. Because his bottom lane is in control, he feels safer in terms of going in and deep warding in the jungle of Giants. He knows Niels and Mithy can walk up and help him. Notice how Mithy was already in the river as well.
So a good team play coming out of Origen already. Reading the situation correctly. A CS advantage for Niels and Sivir. Thanks in large part to Mithy with that Flash Ignite. Nautilus. Do you see a small advantage for Pepi mid lane, but we've not really looked or touched top at all yet. Werlyb and Soaz just continue to trade and CS both evenly at this moment in time.
Bit of a problem for Giants that at the moment there are two lanes Frederick really wants to try and gank. Either he wants to try and help his bot lane because he wants to prevent what can happen later in the game in terms of Origen setting up dives against him and take down an early tower. But he also really wants to gank this Ryze, obviously up in the top lane for himself, trying to shut down Soaz early on. But for now, the lane is being pushed in towards him. He just got zoned away, sorry. And will back away. PePiiNeRO, though, is doing great. In this lane, we talked about how strong Yasuo is in the early stages of this laning phase. And Pekka is desperately trying to get some items to give him some combat stats. Already back to base twice now.
Yeah, both of these mid laners going for some laning related items. Pepi with double Dorans, as you've mentioned, the Amp Tome, cloth armor, boots for Peke. Gonna delay that spike. Frederick's gonna hang around in this middle lane. Can Pepi get the knock-up? Steel Tempest will not connect. Peke is gonna dash forward. Gonna get that shield from Pale Cascade and nothing more will follow. Frederick's playing very cheeky. He's going to go for the body slam knockup. Last breath used by Pepi. He's got no more charges. Now Frederick's in trouble. Forced to flash. Amazing's going to flash forward. 100 HP as Amazing's going to throw out the Prey Seeker. No kill secured. That was close.
Very, very close here. Giants were the ones who went aggressive with the ulti. Now down the bottom lane. Werlyb decided to teleport down. Niels didn't have to burn anything other than his heal. So teleport almost wasted from Giants, and they lost that trade in the mid lane as well. Look at Amazing, he's moving down bottom lane now, and a TP from Soaz.
There is one more if they need it. Mithy's flashed in for this one. Adryh's got the Eye of the Storm, and here comes Soaz from behind. Mithy is going to get exploded as he tries to pull himself to the wall. GODFRED and Werlyb, they decide to turn back aggressive. There's the second teleport for the Giants. And Pepi's just going to help push this wave out. So Giants, first blood goes to ADC Tristana.
Mithy just flashing in a little bit too early. Giants, Origen were not in a position yet. Teleport was on the way from Soaz. Amazing was moving down the river. Just simply could not collapse together. Mithy goes down. Giants gaming with the kill with the dragon. Both teleports used though, all three I guess we can say now, on the map.
8 minutes on the clock. Giants secure their first dragon of the game. Going to deny that opportunity to Origen. Coming into this game, Origen had secured 10 of the first dragons. And of course, with Giants having that double teleport, they can throw parties in any lane every few minutes.
Sloppy play though from both teams. PePiiNeRO TP down when the fight was already over. Didn't manage to get anything. Soaz and Amazing moving down, and then Mithy jumping in before everyone is in position, ends up dying for it as well. That was supposed to be a 4v3 for Origen, at least for a few seconds, before PePiiNeRO could join. In the end, though, Giants with a very small lead, and this has been a problem for Origen in the past. If they do start falling behind, they have a very hard time getting back into the game. Diana is also one of these picks that if she falls behind, she can't really do anything. You're a melee champion sitting and trying wave clear. You need to have that assassination potential on a backline. You have to see Origen, obviously just a few hundred gold at this point.
Yeah, what an interesting dynamic when both Origen and Giants fully embraced the poke meta in the last week. and then go completely the opposite direction this week.
But this is the awesome thing about Champ Select, how teams are now expecting the other team to run poke compositions. So they're like, okay, if you start building towards poke, we know how we want to try and change our picks so we get more engaged. And then both teams see the same thing, like, oh, we both got to change what we're doing, and now they're both running this more all-in comp. Frederick, he's on a pink ward, so he's not... Well, he's spotted, obviously, but his own pink he's sitting on. Amazing is waiting. So he's feeling very safe now, Frederick's like, okay, Origen does not know I'm here, because I have this pink ward. I'm just waiting for Ryze to overextend. Mithy's coming as well.
Oh, 3 versus 2.
Oh, so
Giants are in trouble. The fat man's been rooted. With the equalizer in place, Frederick will get some damage, but it will not be enough. Soaz is being burned down. Amazing gets a knock up on Werlyb, trying to get Soaz. He's flashed for it, but will not get the kill. 2-0 for Origen.
Origen were just waiting around. They spotted the Gragas moving in. They had the Rek'Sai sitting nearby from a base to see where the movements were going, and Frederick, again, he felt so secure. He's like, hey, I have a ping ward here, I'm not spotted, I can go for a gang. And Soaz just walks in and baits it. Now bottom lane, Adryh instantly disengages.
Peke's here though. Comes Peke, he's gonna get the Crescent Strike. GODFRED throws the Monsoon. Peke is gonna Luna rush forward. Moonfall was not necessarily the greatest, but the roam from OG defend the tower and blow Summoner Spell.
Blow it, I wonder if Origen could have gotten more there. Peke didn't want to wait for his Q to be ready again. Adryh, no heal, no flash, trying to defend the tower, taking a lot of damage. Origen really turning on the power. Everything started with spotting the jungler top lane, and then you have the global of a Rek'Sai. So Origen knew exactly where Frederick was on the map, killed him, and knew they could then make a play on the bottom lane. Great use of the information and great use of a Rek'Sai from Amazing.
Brilliant shot calling from Origen to get themselves ahead in gold, ahead in kills, and now ahead in pressure. Something you also witnessed in that bottom lane is some of the lack of wave clear from Giants. It's relying on Adryh's auto attacks, very short range from PePiiNeRO, and we see Pepi start at BF Sword, so that's even a step away from, dare I say, a traditional item build,
yeah,
Yasuo?
A step away from his own ability to fast push in the lanes with the static shift. I haven't seen a BF Sword start on a Yasuo in a very, very, very long time, but PePiiNeRO is one of these mid laners who likes to go with his own kind of builds. Very often, and obviously summoner spells. I mean, PePiiNeRO likes to do it his own way, and Giants did trust in him. Not really a fan of it here from PePiiNeRO, and as you mentioned, Giants, their composition as well, if they start falling behind, when you have so much all-in with this Yasuo pick and so little safe wave clear, it becomes so difficult because Origen can just keep setting up dives and quick rotations with this Sivir as well.
This time round, Frederick's nearby. Amazing and Soaz look to engage. Equalizer comes out and Frederick knocks Amazing under the tower. Werlyb overheats and sinks Amazing for a reply kill. Adryh, he's actually rocket jumped forward. Niels is the one that's been exhausted. Adryh forced to flash defensively. Niels now flashes aggressively. Auto attack after auto attack. Summoning heal comes down. Mithy goes in. He manages to get the mines out, but the boomerang secures the kill. Here comes a teleport. Pepi's coming from the middle lane. He's looking for Niels. He will not find him.
Second
Take
one.
a teleport. Werlyb wants to play. A new challenger arises, and he is not successful.
Giants, your teleports are so uncoordinated. PePiiNeRO comes in first. He dies, then Werlyb is like, okay, I'm a few seconds late. I'm gonna join now. Ends up dying as well. Origen gets so many kills for this. Look at the player cam here. PePiiNeRO, he's not happy.
Cannot blame him. 0-1-0. Origen proving one useful teleport is greater than 2 suboptimal teleports. And Origen grabbed themselves a tower and a 3,000 gold lead. Fantastic start to this game from Origen. And Peck has picked up his Runeglaive as well. So Diana has just slowly getting closer to becoming activated.
But this is exactly what Pekka wanted. Just farm. Just farm that mid lane over and over and over. PePiiNeRO left the lane twice now to teleport away. Meaning that Pekka got the CS lead, he got the mid tower down as well. Basically, didn't have to do anything for it. Skirmishes Saber. So if Pekka wants to be a split pusher and then join his team later, if Origen wants to 1-3-1, he's gonna be super strong on this Diana. She's great in one-on-ones. You have the skirmishes again. You're not against an exhaust on the side of PePiiNeRO, so I don't think he can stand toe-to-toe with the Diana later on. Let's see, bottom lane. after we had the gank top lane, so we know 2 guys, or 4 people, sorry, are busy up there. Now, engage from Origen. Obviously, this is just a 2v2. I want to see the teleports when they're coming in. Notice how Werlyb is in a position to TP, but PePiiNeRO's already using his. He had joined Soaz. Werlyb didn't use it yet before now.
So late.
So late. I mean, right here, if you're Giants, what you're calling is basically TP bot, TP bot. That's what Adryh and GODFRED is calling. And both the guys have to react instantly. Either you don't do it, or both of you guys do it at the same time. Ends up being Werlyb just coming in 3-4 seconds later, and obviously not being able to do anything.
So while we were in that replay, Giants did manage to take up the bottom turret, but Niels replied with the top turret. Giants, however, should be securing Dragon number 2. Looks to be secured here by Frederick. I saw Peke hanging out in the tri-bush, but he opted not to engage. Catch a quick glimpse up top. Niels and Mithy shoving the wave into the inner turret. And again, strong lead here for Origen. Werlyb, he's going to get dove.
Yeah, we mentioned this earlier, how Origen can just dive around. They're going to get him.
He's down. Too easy.
This is what we talked about, how if you start falling behind against comps with like Sivir and Nautilus and so on, it's so easy to set up these tower dives and these fast pushes with the Sivir and then have the Nautilus just go in first. Land the CC. Origen. Simple setup. And Werlyb not having a great game so far.
Origen showing the European LCS what it means to group effectively with Sivir. Moment Niels had some levels and some free time, pushed it in, 4 towers to 1. Also, I'd like to point out that Soaz, 4-0-1 on Ryze. He's going to be a terror to deal with all of the utility Sivir is going to provide.
Who cares about Ryze scaling?
I do. A lot.
And you should. Monster game coming in for Soaz. Peke as well, despite not being part of anything, just able to sit and farm. You can see him already down the bottom lane. He's already been switching to the side lane, so now you just put your Sivir and you're supporting the mid lane. That means Amazing and Mithy very easily can move together and get deep vision and start roaming down to these lanes if Giants are overextending for farm.
So Werlyb, this is the second time he's played Rumble this split, and the last time he did, he went 1-5-2. It was not a fantastic performance. I think this team composition is even more difficult for that Rumble to work in. It's Gragas and Janna and Tristana all want to get rid of everybody in front of you. And he's down such a massive amount.
And Giants
the opponent team
so badly wants to 5-on-5 team fight. Again, we keep mentioning this teleport from PePiiNeRO. Rumble is not a strong one-on-one split pusher either himself. He wants to be part of team fights. That's what Giants can do with this composition. The problem is, you lost your outer turrets, and Origen are not looking to let you get a 5-on-5 straight team fight. No, they're gonna keep 1-3-1 split pushing you, Soaz in one lane, Peke in the other one, and then they can determine when to move between the lanes and set up these quick tower dives or pop a Sivir ulti and get a pick before the fight even starts.
And all of that's enabled by Niels, who, just as an update, between 10 and 20 minutes actually has the highest amount of kills out of anybody. Peke is going to be in trouble here. Going to get 3-manned by Giants. Pepe started the TP, but I believe cancelled it. And we'll go back to that point. Between 10 and 20, Niels has more kills than any other player, and Mithy more assists. Obviously, because they hold hands often and work together to secure those objectives.
One of the strongest dual lanes we have here in Europe, but Peke overextending himself. Origen had only one lane push up, that was his own, so easy game for Giants, but see, nice wind wall coming in and getting a TP from Soaz. So Peke here needs to be a bit careful next time when you do split push. Talk about that after, because Sivir ulti's popping. We're going in.
On the hunt comes out. There's the depth charge. A flash away from Adryh. The boomerang blade doesn't connect, nor does the steel tempest knock up. Giants successfully run away. It's the weirdest line I think I'm going to say. And Origen, they defend their mid-outer turret.
Took a lot of damage though, again for a fairly unnecessary death on Peke. When you do split push, you need at least 2 of the lanes pushed up at the same time. So if someone goes and kills you in one lane, you can get something in the other lane. In this case, the Origen was sitting at their own towers basically at mid and top lane. Peke was just all the way to tier 2 tower. So mistake from Origen, Giants got a kill for it, didn't manage to get anything else.
Okay, we're 20 minutes in. Giants, 2 dragons to 0, but look at the CS differences in the top lane. 10, 15 down for Soaz and about 30 ahead for Niels. Amazing goes a little deep, but no one from Giants is really there to punish him. And as it stands, Giants are falling further behind. It's now 5,000 gold.
And PePiiNeRO, this super slow build here, not rushing that static shift, so he doesn't have any proper crit at the moment. He doesn't have the static shift as well.
He's sitting on a lot of gold, though.
Yeah, he must be, because again, he hasn't gone back for a while. But this is a very slow build for him. Mithy and Niels now might get jumped on.
So tower was secured up top in favor of Giants. It was only the second. But Peke replies down bottom. We see a lot of that money has been spent. Infinity Edge and Avarice Blade. So a little bit of damage, but maybe too little too late.
So once you get your status shift completed now, obviously it's going to be the same as before in terms of your team fight damage. These are the two items you're aiming for. And PePiiNeRO just had 1,550 gold once he went back the first time. That's why he went for that BF sword for himself. Now, we'll be hitting 2 item spikes soon. I still don't think once Peke gets an hourglass that there's a whole lot PePiiNeRO can do in that one-on-one. I want to see it happen. This is obviously not a matchup we see very often. That's a ping 4. Just recalled on it, I think.
Just missed that one.
Don't tell them.
It's a secret. So unfortunately for Giants, they are now left with 1 inner turret remaining in the middle lane. We've mentioned that Giants do not have the strongest of wave clear. And Origen, I think you've got some great tower diving capabilities with Sivir and Nautilus, Ryze, for example. And there's almost an hourglass for Peke. Diana with hourglass is one of the most frustrating things to deal with.
For now, though, we just wait for Dragon to respawn. It could be one of the chances for Giants to get a 5-on-5 team fight. We mentioned how that's what they're really aiming for in this game here with this Yasuo pick. Remember as well, for teleport, he can always join in, but he needs to be there when the fight starts, because he needs to be there when the knockoff comes in from Frederick on this Gragas or maybe the Janna tornado. He cannot join in way too late. Origen just gets a completely free Dragon.
Uncontested with the exception of that equalizer. We see the body slam flash just to get out alive from Frederick. Werlyb is in a little bit of trouble. Gonna start overheating with the flame spitter, and Adryh has red buff. Has you summon a heal for this. Gets the slow on Peke. There's no hourglass yet. Peke is gonna flash away defensively. Giants have lost themselves up. They're split. Adryh is down. Peke, Lunar Rush, and the Crescent Strike. PePiiNeRO wants to come in from behind, but Peke's got 2. Soaz is now going to look for Frederick and GODFRED. Soaz is going to get caught out, but again, 3v1, and Origen are now going to surround Giants. Giants are just scattering to the wind. Dredge line connects, Frederick's knocked up, and Niels, hook, line, and sinker for one more. Deficio, at 10 minutes, Origen had 200 gold lead. At 20 minutes, Giants had a 5k gold lead. Now, they have a 6k gold lead.
I just don't understand how Giants wants to play the fights here. Dragon starts, Giants move down with 4 members, use a Rumble ulti at first, and then they go in like 1 by 1. PePiiNeRO is still split pushing at that time. And he joins in super late when the fight is basically already over because Giants is now chasing multiple members. I mean, very, very uncoordinated game for Giants when it comes to summoner spells, when it comes to team fights. And Origen is just punishing them every single time.
And it's a team composition we said that was going to be exceptionally difficult to pull off. If Giants are not in sync, if Giants are not playing as a unit, it doesn't work. And they don't have that play from behind or comeback mechanic that we like to talk about. So unless Origen really get caught up by a wombo combo,
that's basically it, yeah.
It looks like Origen have the tools they need to close this out with the diving, with the wave clear, with the tower pushing. And there's still only that 1 turret remaining.
Yeah, remember Origen as well. You have the Sivir spell shield. That's gonna stop if there's like an ulti flying in from Frederick to try and get that displacement to pop that Yasuo ulti. Peke, of course, is gonna dive the backline of Giants himself. And Soaz, as long as he's not positioned next to Niels, it's going to be so difficult for Giants to pull off a wombo combo by any means, because Origen has the map control. Yeah. There's never a reason for Origen to face check anything. First of all, you have a Rek'Sai, so you're going to spot people if they're moving around even in the dark. And then you have the map control, you have the split pushing advantage. There should never be a way for Origen to get in a situation where they have to face check.
And of course, Origen can Baron bait. They've got all the vision in the world. They've got the Sivir and Nautilus for mega engage. You can see the Baron stats slightly in favor of Origen, albeit being a little later for their first Baron. And, as if on cue, Vision control rests with the blue team. PePiiNeRO is very far away. An early equalizer once more from Werlyb. No El Bandito steal today. Frederick body slams over. Werlyb will get taken out by Niels as a flash from Soaz will be setting up another kill. 3 members of Giants down, and PePiiNeRO's running for his life. Windwall comes out. You've got damage, but not enough, my friend. Baron and 4 down. Origen looking at the base.
Really just simple play from Origen. Pekka now 600 total kills in the LCS. What a legend. He's been here since the start.
Seems you can teach old dogs new Runeglaive tricks. Pekka really showing up in recent weeks. Had some interesting damage stats. I think it was weeks 1 through 4. He was responsible for around 25% of his team's damage, and last week it was cranked up to around 40.
When you
what a great
poke champion,
Poke
it
helps. But he had a great Vladimir game, playing super aggressive early as well. When somebody needs to step up, Origen have the depth of ability that one of their team members will.
Yeah, that's the thing. Origen is not a team that plays around the mid lane. It's about the side lanes, and it's about what Amazing can do as a jungler for the first 20 minutes, almost every single game. The fact that you then can still rely on someone like Pekka to always do well in his laning phase, always apply pressure in his laning phase and help out with vision control is such a key thing, because once we get to these team fights, he can really start becoming a big factor. And obviously when he is playing poke, we see him be more impactful in the early to mid game as well. So Origen have different carries to play around. It's one of the problems for Giants all split, how it's been a lot about PePiiNeRO, sometimes Werlyb, but that's been about it. I mean, we haven't really seen Adryh being a big carry for Giants.
Very rarely. 1 or 2 games where he stepped up. However, it's mostly because their opponents focus PePiiNeRO so heavily. PePiiNeRO's flash TP Yasuo has the support of at least some of the crowd, but it's going to need a whole lot more. Werlyb once again with an early equalize, and Origen have already disengaged. On the hunt has been used from Niels. Origen successfully evade Giants' weak engage.
Yeah, trying to look for some way to reach the backline of Origen, but there's just no easy way for them. And with this Baron buff, with the split push Janna, we mentioned her time and time again in the skirmishes. Origen can also just dive if they want to. There's the threat at least, which is enough to force Giants to back.
Wait, you mean Pekka? Like he dived Werlyb? Totally dropped him. Pekka still has Hourglass available. Gonna look for Adryh. He's gonna flash forward. Pale Cascade doesn't connect. Adryh forced to defensively flash. While all of that's going on, Origen have got the inhibitor turret. They've also got Frederick. El Bandito's down. Pepe's got Niels, but he may not be able to get the kill because the spell shield and the auto attacks keep Niels alive. While all that was going on, Peke got his 2nd solo kill under the turret of the bottom lane. Origen 5 against 1. Now knocking on the Nexus turrets. 17-3, 28 minutes. The conga line of minions move their way in. Origen are looking for their 10th victory of the summer split. And they obliterate Giants.
This game here, such a good game for Pekka to play the Runeglaive or Diana, because he got to sit and scale in the mid lane in the start. He got to complete 1 and 2 items. The Runeglaive first, the skirmishes Saber obviously, and then get the Hourglass second, and then he could just slowly say, okay, I'm feeling ready now. I'm going to move down to a side lane. I'm going to start split pushing. Nobody's going to be able to challenge me here because nobody from Giants could stop him. And we saw in the end, you know, double kill on once he got super fed. And honestly, Giants in the early to mid game in this game here looked so uncoordinated. We have talked about how they're inconsistent before. We've mentioned how, you know, they look great one day and they look pretty weak the next day.
Yeah.
This was still a whole new level of problems for Giants. I've never seen them be this uncoordinated.
On the same token, Origen looked fantastic. They were incredibly decisive. They pushed as a unit when they had the opportunity to, and with 10 wins now, they're one step closer to guaranteeing that playoff position. The bottom of the table is getting more and more congested. Giants, 6 wins, 7 losses.
Tied with Unicorns now because they won earlier. So all these teams are so close to each other, even though Giants have been sitting as number 4 for multiple weeks now.
Yeah.
They're not guaranteed that spot in the playoffs. Obviously, if you look at the schedule, this is one of those games where you don't expect Giants to win it because it's against one of the top 3 teams. It's going to be more about what can they do when they face the teams around them in the standings. But still, this was not acceptable, in my opinion.
I really agree. Werlyb blocked in Rumble. It's the second time we've seen the split on that champion. It was not a great performance. Yes, he fell behind, and there was limited wave clear. But if you think of every equalizer that was cast, the last 4 attempts, trying to steal a dragon, trying to steal a baron, a slightly awkward one in the mid lane, I never felt that his equalizers were as impactful as we've seen from other Rumbles in the European LCS.
I think just overall, even if you just ignore the champions, they were just a misplays as a team for Giants.
A lot of misplays indeed. 10-3 for Origen. And we're going to head over to the LCS to take a look at Origen.